That's a lovely job, Matthew. Here's your pound. Could you do my friend's house too? She lives upon the main road. There's a good lad.
Sorry, Mrs. Ward, I can only do bungalows. I'm frightened of heights, you know. I get dizzy. I had over the summer holidays, between the end of primary and starting high school, decided to become a window cleaner. Opposite the rec ground on our estate, there was a cluster of old people's bungalows, built in the 70s to replace the prefabs left over from the post war years. There were some friendly and some not so friendly inhabitants. I was always playing on my bike over there, doing tricks and stunts down the alleyways and steps, so this seemed the ideal place for hawking my low altitude sponge and chamois leather skills. Mrs. Ward was matriarch to a large family. Her grandchildren used to visit a fair bit, and they would play on their bikes around the bungalows too. So we had all gotten to know each other as the years went by. She was a jolly sort of old lady, no more than 5 feet tall, and always smiling or chatting whenever I saw her. This was my way in. I had called round on my bike, armed with a bucket and a cheeky smile, asking if she would like me to help clean her windows for a quid. She always seemed pleased to see me, so it was easy enough. I took real care to make it a good job, and she soon rallied round some of the other old girls on the estate to use my services too. I had a nice little round within a few weeks. This new endeavour, plus selling a few push bikes, was all in pursuit of one thing: a moped. My friend, the one whose parents had the cottage and small holding round the corner, and recently got given an ancient Honda C90, known to most of us at the time as a chicken chaser, and he messed about with it a lot. It was hilarious at weekends, him riding, me on the back, and his little sister in the middle, bumbling about their orchard and garden, disturbing the animals while squashing his mother's flower beds. Here and there I was allowed to have a go too, and even though there was barely room to get the engine into second gear, it was these little sojourns that got me hooked on motorcycles for life. I wanted one. Towards the end of the holidays, and when my coffers getting filled from bungalow only window cleaning, I heard of a moped for sale a few miles up the road. After much pestering, my dad took me to see it in his van. Outside a detached property in the next village from our town was a little green Italian Garelli moped, chained to the gatepost, a sign saying, "For sale, £55 cash," hung over it. I was so excited looking around it, cash burning a hole in my pocket. The owner appeared, halting his Sunday morning hedge cutting upon seeing our interest. My father explained to the chap that I wanted it for riding around the fields, so wouldn't want to pay too much. Embarrassingly, the owner's rather pretty teenage daughter came out to demonstrate it, and I lost my bottle when it came to going for a test ride round their garden, rather sheepishly accepting a pillion ride while she piloted the powerful machine after pedal starting it. It went wow, the little headlamp even worked, so it was just a case of paying for it, really. Dad managed to get a fiver knocked off. He always was crap at haggling, and we loaded it into his Mark 1 Astra van. We drove home with the van door tied down with rope, whilst quietly being overwhelmed by the smell of leaking petrol from the little bike's carburettor. Upon unloading it on our drive, the bike wouldn't start due to the fuel leaking out, so I sat on it, pedalling vigorously with Dad running behind pushing. Halfway down our cul-de-sac, the little engine coughed into life. I turned round and rode it the 25 yards back onto the drive, before turning it off in the garage and locking the door. Half an hour later, and while sat eating our lunch, a police car pulled up outside and two cops knocked the door. The officer explained that they had had a report of someone with no licence, helmet, or insurance riding a motorcycle on the highway. It turned out one of our neighbours from Hal had been watching us, and the minute the moped started, rang the police. Eventually, after much talk and humble pie being consumed, they left without a charge being laid. This wasn't to be my first nor last skirmish with officialdom, unfortunately. If you've enjoyed my autobiographical short story from the book And Your Point Is, please subscribe to my channel and also share. It's very, very much appreciated. Thank you. Take care.